Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well today. Well, now that we have a general understanding of what foreign direct investment is, let's take a look at the possible advantages of FDI and understanding what they are. Here we go. All right, so here's a list of 11 advantages that Jocelyn Blink put together for possible advantages of a foreign company, a multinational corporation, directly investing in your country. And here's the list, and I'll just go through them, and then I'll talk about them briefly. The first thing is increased savings, increased employment, increased education and training, increased research, development, and technology, the multiplier effect of increased incomes, increased tax revenue for the local government, increased foreign capital, increased or improved infrastructure, increased choice in the marketplace, lower prices in the marketplace, and increased free trade. So let's tackle each one of those individually. All right, so increased savings. All right, what does that mean? Well, foreign direct investment creates a necessary condition it doesn't create a necessary condition. It contributes to economic growth, and it does so through increased savings in the developing countries. And this is something that developing nations tend to lack, right? FDI helps to fill the savings gap and thus may lead to economic growth. It's closely tied with increased employment, right? The more savings a country has, the more money there is sitting in a bank, and the more likely those banks are going to take those savings, wrap them up into loans, and sell them again, which increases investment locally. Okay, so increased savings is the first possible advantage of FDI. The second, increased employment, right? Multinational corporations provide employment in the country, and in many cases may also provide the second part here, which is education and training. And this is critical for a particular country. I lived in the Dominican Republic for 2 years, and the parent company of the Gap, Old Navy in Banana Republic, built a factory right near, it was about 20 miles from my house, and it increased employment greatly. It was the best wage you could get. People only making $5 a day, but it was better than making $2 a day working in the coffee fields. So people flocked to the factories. They came out better trained, right, with higher levels of skills in order to be used if they were to lose that job, and they're more highly trained to do other particular jobs. Why did that happen? Because the Gap company, the parent company of the Gap, Old Navy, and Banana Republic, wanted more highly skilled, trained employees, so they did it for themselves. And if you remember back to market failure, that created a positive externality of production and training those particular employees. Okay, fourth, increased research, development, and technology, right? Multinational corporations allow developing countries greater access to research, greater access to technology, greater access to marketing. And this can enhance industrialization. I mean, one of my students that I had just wrote an extended essay in economics on solar technology being installed in the Caribbean island of Aruba. Well, think about what Aruba is being exposed to by this Dutch consortium coming in and installing solar paneled roads. Well, there's increased access to research, development, technology, and relationships built between this multinational, wasn't really a corporation in this case, but let's just say that it had been, and to the local population in Aruba. All right. The fifth advantage of foreign direct investment is this notion of the multiplier effect of increased incomes, okay? Increased employment and earnings may have a multiplier effect on the host country, stimulating growth. And that just means that if, let's say that you worked at that Dominican factory, right? And because now all of a sudden your daily wage doubled from $2 to $5 a day, maybe you could save that and open up a new business. And now because you have more money, right? You're going to spend more money, which is going to stimulate the economy more because now you're spending more, which means someone else is earning more. And that 100 pesos, which that extra $2.50 gets respent over and over as a result of you earning more income. And that's the multiplier effect of increased income. Why did that happen? It happened because the Gap put their factory right there in La Vega in the Dominican Republic. Okay, another possible advantage of FDI, right, is that the host government may gain tax revenue from the profits of the multinational corporation, which then can be used to gain more growth by investing in infrastructure, improving public services such as health and education to promote economic development. That one's pretty straightforward, I think. Next thing, increase foreign capital. Yeah, check it out. You know, when multinational corporations move into a developing country, they're injecting foreign capital and increase the aggregate demand. One of the things, this Chinese consortium in Nicaragua, I mean, it's super political, and this is like this is a ridiculous example because it's not, no one really even knows. But Nicaragua has subcontracted the building of what would be the equivalent of a new Panama Canal through Nicaragua. And Daniel Ortega, who's the president of Nicaragua, has said that this is going to eradicate poverty in Nicaragua, which is absurd. It's not going to happen. But what is going to happen? An enormous amount of foreign capital is going to come in there, and all of the big players, all of the wealthy class of Nicaragua, even if they're environmentalists, are super excited about this project because they're going to buy concrete, buy supplies, everything that they're going to buy, they're going to buy from Nicaraguan companies if they can. So that's going to increase, obviously, aggregate demand. All right? Also, improved infrastructure. In some cases, multinational corporations improve the infrastructure of the economy, both physical and financial, or they may act as a spur for governments to do so in order to attract them. There's many examples of new roads being put into places in order to help multinational corporations come in. Sometimes the multinational corporations actually do it themselves. I have another personal experience. Nicaragua, beautiful country, of course, in Central America, and there had not been a road that crossed. I lived there in 2000. This was in 2010. This is not long ago. There was no way to drive from the Pacific to the Atlantic. We're talking about a drive of maybe like 400 kilometers, and you couldn't drive across until this Costa Rican African palm multinational corporation came in and built a road from the end of the road, which was by this town called Rama. They built the last 100 kilometers themselves. Why? Because they wanted to help Nicaragua? No, because they changed that whole area into an enormous African palm plantation to extract and create palm oil. So guess what? Me and my kids and my in-laws and my family, we were all excited because we were like one of the first people to drive from Managua to the Atlantic coast. But that's because of the multinational corporation. Another thing, increased choice in the marketplace. This goes on along with basic economics. The existence of multinational corporations in a country may provide more choice and lower prices for consumers than they would have, and more lower prices in the marketplace is always better for anyone, right? So increased choice and lower prices. Those lower prices, of course, come from the lower prices come from increased choice because there's more competition. Hello. That goes back to the beginning of economics. And lastly, increased free trade. Multinational corporations, these activities along with liberalized trade can lead to a more efficient allocation of the world's resources. And so these 11 things pile up on one another, and you end up with a really good blueprint of how to write an evaluation about why foreign direct investment has some positive effects in countries. It definitely does. And any country that you may live in, where you're from, or where you're listening to this video, you can look around and you see a lot of goods and a lot of services that are provided by foreign countries. And if the foreign country, the foreign entity, has invested 10% more in a local company, then it's considered foreign direct investment. Or next time you go to the beach and you stay in a big Hilton resort, guess what that is? Foreign direct investment, right? All right. I hope you found this video to be helpful, and I'm looking forward to talking to you in a bit.